Good afternoon, champions, and welcome to the Idle Champions weekly live stream. My name is Dylan, and I am coming to you live from beautiful and cold outside, but way too hot inside Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. First, I would like to thank D&D for hosting us on the official D&D Twitch. It is and will always be an honor to be here. And I'd also like to give a huge shout out in advance to the awesome folks who helped make this all happen. Clive and Erica on our end today, and Lauren, Crazy Urban in chat. You guys are awesome. Okay, so it's time to get this started. My guest today plays Ghost on Sirens of the Realms and has also played Esvel Rosnar, also known as the Black Viper, on Dice Camera Action, both on stream, and live on stage at TwitchCon. She's known throughout the D&D and cosplay communities and can be found at @VividVivka on Twitter and Instagram. So please, everybody, welcome VividVivka to the stream. I need to hit the button to switch over. Hi.
Hi. That was such a good intro. You should come on all of my stuff to do my intros. That was so concise.
Well, thank you. I figured the least I could do is talk about some of the stuff that you're doing. So
I was sitting there. I was like, "Oh, I do those things! Yay!"
Yeah. So yeah, you are the latest champion to join Idle Champions, and you're currently highlighted in the background there, just backstabbing dudes, along with
backstabbing. That's how I live.
Yeah, hanging out with Evelyn and Regis and Volanya Umverar. Yeah. I can't say it as nicely as
like
Satine
my
does.
own kind of roster at home looks so similar to this. I'm like,
good.
Did you have it in my game?
Yeah, I've got Paulton there too.
Yeah. I mean, like, of course, I put myself a little bit closer to Dieth. Of course, I put Viper a little closer.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure all the fans are pretty keyed in on that kind of stuff. I'm actually really amazed on a regular basis by how much detail fans of a lot of these shows pick up. It's amazing.
So because the last time that I was on Dice Camera Action as Valet, there was like a little bit of flirtation between her and Dieth, and I've gotten like a couple like Twitter messages by it, and I think my favorite was, someone was like, "Oh yeah, and you two, right? It's a thing," and I tagged Jared in it, and he was like, "It was an honor." What exactly did it say? He was like, "It was an honor to reject your advances."
Oh, that's
like,
great.
I want to screen cap that like reply from him and like put it on a shirt.
That's a good line, actually.
Honor to reject your advances.
I wonder, was that one of those ones where he had the response tweet right away, or did he like pause for a minute and like, how can I think about this the best way? Because I'm always curious if people are clever on the spot or if it took them a minute.
My headcanon is that he pulled out an old school Rolodex and was like, this.
This one seems appropriate for this situation.
Yes.
Fair enough. So I'd be very curious, since we always like after interviewing Jared on stream and Holly and Anna and Nate and other people who do their shows, I always ask them the same thing about how and where their character comes from. But the Black Viper is the character you became, not the character that you created that then became a character. So I'd be curious, how is that different for portraying the Black Viper when you play her on streams?
Utterly, completely. I mean, it's kind of like a crazy backwards thing in the sense that it's like, D&D approached me and was like, so we have this character, she's a new NPC. This was months ago, before the Stream of Many Eyes. Mm-hmm. And when I think it was right before or right after Dragon Heist actually came out, and they were like, so we have this character, we think that you would be perfect as her, can you make the costume? And I'm like, how much time? And they're like, 2 weeks. And I'm like, you're right back. So, but after actually, like, first it was about like just making the costume, and D&D was freaking amazing. Like, they told me that I could, they at the time they only had like the one basic original art piece, and they're like, girl, take it, go. You can basically change whatever you want, all things considered. But they allowed me to really make the character my own. And I did change a lot of things. Like I changed the pants and like certain detail elements of the cape and like harness rig ups, because I like before she just had kind of like a person, like, no, we gotta have pouches. I would say the biggest change that I made was in the original art piece. She kind of has like a sigh, like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, like a sigh.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, 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 no. And and I switched it. I instead made her two like crisp push daggers,
yeah.
which I mounted on the thighs, and I call them her Viper fangs.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like my most proud change. But like being able to like change all these things and turn the character actually into me was like this whole new level of amazing creativity and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But then even further on to be like, okay, well now why don't you play her on Dice Camera Action? Why don't you play her on stage at TwitchCon? It's like, okay, what is she like? So
yeah.
And I've actually had some really interesting conversations with Chris Perkins where he's like, well, she's like this. And I was like, maybe I kind of see her like this. So you have like a little bit of it like I see her as a little bit more chaotic neutral.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like she's stealing the things and doing the haps and, you know, creating the ruckus more out of a level of being bored and almost a sense of duty to her family rather than just like being evil. I am going on such a tangent here. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good because it's the most interesting thing about the portrayal is like you wonder where the line is between, okay, what did Chris Perkins say that she has to act like, you know, and where does that line cross with this is Vivka having fun and just doing X, Y, and Z.
I mean, especially, you know, with things that Chris said, like I may have had like a certain idea about Viper in my head, but then he would give me some kind of information that I didn't have. Like I had a very clear idea, I thought, of her motives, but then he told me more about her background and like her family and her actual like nobility titles, and it changed the way that I thought about her. Yeah. Unlike when I play Ghost or any of my LARP characters or anyone else that I'm like actually, you know, making up on my own where there is no wrong answer. Yeah. With Black Viper is kind of interesting because she's actually an NPC and she has a story. I'm just helping tell it.
Mm-hmm. So do you find that regularly, you know, while you're playing her, like on stage, because you're there on stage with Chris Perkins.
That was the coolest thing.
Chris
ever.
Perkins dressed as Strahd and and everybody at TwitchCon.
I did not know that TwitchCon was going to be like that lit and just like walking up and it being like, wow, there's like a stage set up. I walked into this thinking that we were just going to be at tables, like playing D&D with dice in front of a live stream.
And that's what they did the year before. So it's not, you know, it wasn't unreasonable to have had that expectation.
And then like stepping into the back and seeing him getting like his last little bit of makeup on and I'm like, oh, like, oh, this is what's going on here. Okay.
Well, it worked brilliantly. I did end up watching it after the fact because we didn't go to TwitchCon this past year, so we had to watch the videos.
Next year.
I don't know. Maybe it's weird. It's it used to be that when Codename Entertainment would like attend a few things, it'd be like one or two things a year. But now that we have a game that is based in D&D, we attend like 6 to 10 things a year, and so sometimes it's things where it's like we're gonna have a full-on, like at the Stream of Many Eyes when we had that sort of like loungy burgundy setup with the like the iris tapestries. I actually have those sitting right beside me right here, sit on the table, but you know, so we had that.
I took some photos in that area as
yes
Ghost.
Everybody did actually, which was really cool.
It was a beautiful setup.
Thank you. That was me and the set guy, who was crazy. He's like, oh yeah, we got this from this prop warehouse and we got this from here. And I'm like, whoa, all right. So what you're saying is I can't lose these coins because they're actually worth something. It's like a huge bag of them on the counter. But no, it turned out great. And God, you know, it's funny. I'd have to dig through my email to remember the names of everybody who made that so awesome. But it was,
I mean,
that was a highlight last year. Yeah,
like
for sure.
Stream of Many Eyes was the first time that I had ever done anything like that. And then actually TwitchCon was my first TwitchCon. Oh. So to be able to go to my first TwitchCon as a representative for D&D, dressing up as Viper and just like sneaking around in the background. And then I did some panels about like cosplay and dressing up as characters. And then to it by being on the main stage as Viper on the stage doing this thing. Like Felicia Day comes in as a ghost and like knocks down a couch and like it's like unreal. It was amazing.
It was fun to watch, and I'm curious to see what they're going to do this time around.
I know, me too.
So you said 2 weeks for the costume.
I'll give it 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. How does that compare to a regular cosplay that you might put together?
Well, I mean, especially in the sense that like, if I don't finish a regular cosplay costume in time, the only one I let down is myself.
Yeah.
And I can just kind of be like, okay, bad time management. I didn't finish it. I can do it next time. With this, it's like, no, you got to do it. Like it was for a stream of many eyes. So it was like, it was a little intense. I definitely had to call in help favors. All of the sewing work was actually done by the seamstress that I work with, Mel at the Corset Carriage. She's incredible. She's like, we're like the gruesome twosome. We work together all the time. And more that like I'm very particular about fabrics, which was really interesting for Black Viper because I usually do like elves and you know, like wasteland costumes and things that are very specific, but a bit more natural, a bit more rustic maybe.
Yeah.
And with Viper, like I wanted her to look expensive, you know, like she basically built her Viper costume out of pieces that she had around. So it's like, I wanted the cape to look lush and that meant nice fabrics, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well, it shows. There's tons of great photos and stuff. Tyler Curtis did a whole bunch of shots. That,
stream. Yeah,
it was awesome. It turned out good.
Yeah. Did you see the little video that I made of her?
The one on the Instagram where you're like kind of slinking around and like you got your jewels and stuff. That one.
Oh, yeah. You know, Viper Rogue slinking around.
It was good.
Yeah. Those things.
It was cool. Somebody in the chat was actually just asking about that.
You saw it because it was cool.
Yeah, no, it was great, and it was one of those things where we were trying to put together the as many references as possible of your costume to put the design of this character together. Because when we first were considering making the Black Viper for the game, we looked at the key art in the book, and it's like, well, that's a pretty plain rogue for the most part, like in the key art.
I kind of fixed that.
yeah, and so, you know, when we looked at the cosplay, because we were like, that was one of the better costumes at the Stream Many Eyes in a sea of great cosplay. I feel like yours and Trent's Minsk were like the ones that were like, holy shit, standing out in the crowd.
Just like, you know.
It helps that he's enormous and he actually is Minsk sized. So, but
yeah,
it was.
I think we have a really great photo of him actually kind of like putting his arm like on my head.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you follow him on Instagram or something, apparently he blacksmiths for fun all the time. So all his shots are like, I'm making this 10-foot sword. It's like, okay.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
It's a Tuesday, sure.
Yeah, making us swords and D&D video games up in Edmonton. So this is what's going on with him.
You know, hashtag the life.
Yeah. So tell me about how it came to be that you were a ghost on Sirens of the Realms.
Oh man. I wish I had an amazing backstory for this. Also, really quick, I wanted to jump back. So with Viper and the time crunch that I had, I just wanted to also throw out like one more shout out is that all the sewing work was Mel at the Corset Carriage, but the black leather gauntlets, which are such an amazing, intricate part of the costume, was made by my friend Evan. He's on Instagram as I think it's just __ OHL. His work, he does a lot of wasteland work and everything, and he's an absolute incredible creator. But I would not have been able to do those gauntlets without him. So Evan, I had to shout you out, dude. Anyway, so back to Ghost.
Yeah.
So I actually learned how to play Dungeons and Dragons with Satine, goodness, 8, 9, 10 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
I played with her and a couple other people on a podcast actually called I Hit It With My Axe.
Yeah,
the good old days. But yeah, that's where I learned how to play. And I remember like looking over her shoulder and like watching her like doing all these drawings and everything and being like, this girl is so cool. And you know, then like some stuff happened and we kind of like parted ways for a couple years. Then it's like I would see her around LA, but you know, none of the good hangs, and I missed her a lot. And then just quite randomly, I think it was around San Diego Comic Con time, I actually left my house, which I don't do. And I saw her at 3 parties in 1 week. Oh, wow. And for that, like I was riding high. It was the most Satine. It was the greatest. And so I saw her a couple times, like lots of hugs, like, oh, it's so good to see you, blah, blah, blah. And then I popped on Twitter a couple days later and she was like, oh, I have this dream that I want to do this thing and it involves singing. And I ended up replying to the tweet and being like, oh, writing songs and singing and actually performing is a dream of mine, but I have terrible stage fright. And she's just like, she's just like, I see, I got you, girl. And it ended up just being that she ended up emailing me, you know, maybe even a couple days later, being like, so about that, I have this thing. I want to do a Skype talk with you and see if maybe like this is a thing that you might like. And so we did the Skype call and she's like, all girl bard band. And I was like, I'm in. And we, you know, she was talking about, you know, actually writing the songs and using the instruments and like doing all this stuff. And I'm like, wait, actually, I think I got something for this. And I went and I picked up my hand pan, which is what I play in Sirens of the Realms. It's like kind of like an inverted steel drum. And I was like, dude, so kind of like this. And I started playing it and she was just like, you're a real life pixie. You're a real life pixie. But yeah, I think the hand pan kind of sealed the deal because I was like, I can do this thing. Is this good? So yeah, and that's how I became. Like, I wish that there was like this amazing intro story of like, oh well, there was a relay race and there was a personality section and I had to file my TPS reports. But no, it was like I saw her at a couple parties and I answered a tweet and I was like, oh, I'd love to sing in front of people, and she's like.
But it's, you know, it's funny because like something's going on that your orbit crosses 3 times in a week like that, right? Like
really,
after not seeing each other for long periods of time.
I mean, seeing her 3 times in as many years, you know?
Yeah. We have a few questions. Somebody was asking.
You mean those questions? I love them.
I don't know if we can ask some questions, but if it's possible, mine is Vivid Vidka is a professional cosplayer, but could we have an idea of how much cost it is like to craft her costume? I'm assuming they're talking about the Black Viper one.
Oh man!
Like if you weren't calling in favors and you know like how much, like what is it?
It's like I call in favors, but your girl pays her friends. God, I mean, it's like in general, how much does the costume cost? It varies so wildly because. I mean, there could be bits and pieces that I buy off of Amazon. There could be bits and pieces that I, you know, make by hand, but you still have to get the materials to do that. And then there's also like, you know, I might just commission some pieces and like, it's so all over the place. And with Viper, I don't even fully remember because I was also on such a time crunch that I was like, yes, the answer is yes. Whatever we have to do.
Yeah,
we just got to go, you know, but, I'm really big into like I really kind of hate like the throwaway culture of fashion. So when I do a lot of what's the words, like wasteland stuff and cosplay stuff and like my LARP characters, like any kind of unique character that I make myself where I don't have to stick to like a specific like mimicking this thing, I can kind of make things up. I always try to get stuff from Salvation Armies and thrift stores and Goodwills and turn something old into new because I like to kind of work around that throwaway you know, trash fashion culture. So a lot of my stuff honestly is more time than price, but you know, like I said, for Viper, I wanted her to look expensive. So that fabric was pricey. Like the burnout velvet fabric for her corset was, I don't even remember how much it was, but it was a thing.
It was a traumatizing amount of just like, nope, I don't remember it.
Yeah. I mean, it's also, it's like when you're doing cosplay and everything, it's like so much of it is like because unless you're like commissioning something or like actually paying someone else to do it, there's no one big price. Like it's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a couple bucks here, a lot of bucks here, this and that. And so unless you actually go back and add that up, you won't know the total price. And I'm not doing that. I don't want to know. I don't want to know that full price. So I just let that go.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Giant Dwarf was asking if he could ask questions, and everybody keeps calling you Vivi, I see, on here.
Yeah, Vivi! Everyone always gets my name wrong. They call me Vivica, and I'm like, nah.
No, there's only one I in Vivka.
You know? But everyone always says Vivid Vivica, or I mean, I made poor choices. A lot of V's, a lot of I's. It doesn't really roll off the tongue very well. But yeah, I always tell people you can call me you can call me V, you can call me Vivi, you can call me like Viv if you want. Like, yeah.
Fair enough. Fiery Crystal would like to know why Vivi has green hair.
Do I actually give the real reason? The cheap answer that I'm just going to tell all the social media is that I felt like changing it. But the secret answer that I will only tell all 350 of you is I'm actually working on, I'm very excited about it, but I'm working on a secret LARP project of a new alt, and I was really, really excited for it, and the hair kind of goes with it, so I was like, I'm doing it now.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited. This is something that I'm going to be talking a lot about on my Patreon coming up, because they get kind of like, they get to see all of my in progress. Like they saw a lot of me building Viper, like what this worked like when I bought it, and then kind of not so much like kind of like a tutorial, like a step-by-step photo thing of like as I was like repainting it and leather wrapping it and making the sheath for it and everything. But yeah, like they'll find out, but otherwise you'll find out one day when I finish it. It's going to be a big project.
Cool.
Also, green is great.
Yeah, it's a very nice color. I think it looks good.
It's very bright.
Yeah, and if you were here, it would be shimmery like my drink that with the green screen, where it's kind of like only half shows. So your head would be like, which would be, that would be pure nightmare. That'd be a trip.
Nightmare fuel. That would be awful.
Actually, I could probably right click on the window and do that. No, I'm not going to do that. Cobra King of Earth wants to know if you've been enjoying playing the Black Viper in game.
It's so cool. It's like hashtag life goals, dream goals, everything goals. It's so rad that this is, I don't even have words. Like, being able to actually look up in like the little bottom part where it shows all your champions and be like, that's my face. Mm-hmm. And I actually did a little Instagram live video where I I was opening up all like the loot boxes and everything I had. Yeah, exactly. And I was able to like, yeah, perfect. Like show all of her like, ooh, you have some nice gauntlets. Way to go. But yeah, I was able to bring up all of her pieces, and I actually, I helped write all the flavor text for those. And it's like, I mean, this whole project has been absolutely amazing to first be able to take this 2D character of Black Viper and turn her into a 3D actual walking, talking me. But then to take that 3D version and turn her back into a 2D version of a little sprite pixel video game has been incredible. But I would say like writing that flavor text was some of my favorite.
My favorite line is definitely they have pockets for the gauntlets. That made me chuckle.
It's funny. I wrote that one and I was like, they're not going to keep this. Like that one is totally not going to pass. That's not going to keep it. This is going to get erased. That's fine. You do you. But when like I got an email back and it was like, yeah, that's my favorite one. I was like, these are my people. They get my meme jokes.
It was good. It was a good one. Storyteller Mars would like to know if Black Viper were planning a heist that required a small team, what other champions would she bring? I assume he's aiming it towards the game, but who would the Black Viper bring?
Well, I would say that Black Viper, I mean, she's, I don't want to say that she's mistrusting. but you definitely have to work to get that level of trust from her. And so I don't think that she would really take anyone who she doesn't already know pretty well. So, I mean, seeing as how she already has experience with them and they are champions, I think she would take the Dice Camera Action crew, the Waffle crew.
Yeah.
Especially to keep Dieth a little close. You know, Dieth's not going without Strix, and she's gonna like, be a little bit worried because I really think that Strix is gonna stab me in the back one day.
She's more of a fire starter, but yeah.
And Evelyn she's just too sweet. Like, she's just like, okay, I'm here now too.
Yeah.
She just has to go.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, okay, so whenever I do like a silly role play stuff, I always throw in a bit of meta to it because I'm like a trash goblin. That's what I do. Mm-hmm. But I would totally also have Vlania in it and just be like, I feel like I know you from a different plane.
I think, did Satine play Vlania on Dice Camera Action at all? I swear she did.
Maybe she did. It's more that Vlania is the band manager on Sirens of the Realm. So she is Ghost's band manager. That it's all connected.
Yeah. It's interesting, actually, when Satine was telling us about the overarching story of trying to find Vlania, while we were lining up having Vlania in the game around the time that that was all playing out.
Yeah.
Does she keep you guys like in the loop at all about what's coming up on the show, or is it one of those things where she's like, be prepared for anything and just leaves it at that?
I mean, there definitely is that ever so slight disconnect of playing D&D for an actual show. I mean, we are still trying to be entertaining and tell a story, but we have like a hard time limit on it. So she does a really good job of letting us just kind of take the reins and go. Like, she doesn't really like give us spoilers. We don't really know what's going to happen. So that genuine surprise and excitement is real, but she might tell us like, hey, you're going to be performing somewhere tomorrow. Write a song. Because not all of us are so good at writing songs on the fly. That being said, there have definitely been many episodes where I'm playing and I look over and like Kelly is just like writing really fast and she's like, okay, I have something. And it's like, how did you do? Like, I think it was like the Christmas episode and Christina just like, she was just sitting on the other side and she like rewrote like all Christmas carols like in 5 minutes. It was mind-boggling how fast and good it was. So good. But yeah, she doesn't really tell us a lot of like secrets or anything, but she'll give us a heads up if it's something that we should prepare for.
Interesting. And you got to DM a bit, didn't you?
Yes.
You got to sneak in after a break or something. I remember.
Yeah. Okay. So I playing Ghost has been really inspiring, and watching Satine DM is like really exciting, and I love telling stories. So I was like, I want to try this. So I actually started a home game that I do. My core group is 3 people, all of which who have never played Dungeons and Dragons, never role played, never anything before. So it's been really exciting to not only teach them all how to play D&D as I'm learning how to be a dungeon master, but also to watch them open up and help bring them into a comfort level with just role play in general.
Yeah.
Because I push a very heavy role play aspect in my game because I love that stuff. But yeah, with Sirens of the Realms, that was something that Satine and I had planned. She told me maybe a month in advance, like, hey, do you want to do this thing? And I was like, yes, I want to do this thing. So it was kind of like almost dream sequence type thing where Ghost with the group takes them into the back and she finds a tiny D&D like setup. So we were essentially playing Dungeons and Dragons in Dungeons and Dragons. We had a many worlds like meta thing going on. And so I ended up leading everyone in and being like, oh, there's this thing and there's dice and there's this whole setup. Ladies, sit down. I want to try this. And then Satine was like, and that's where we're going to go to break. And I knew what was coming up, but nobody else knew what was coming up. And so everyone's just like, okay, they go, you know, we have our snacks, we go to the bathroom, usual break stuff. And I'm sitting in my chair and Satine's sitting in her throne, and we're just like looking at each other and waiting. And when, you know, they call, you know, behind the cameras, they're like, okay, 10 seconds. Then we got up and switched chairs really fast to keep it like the surprise for all the other players. And so if you go back and you watch that episode, I swear, like when the camera clips up, like you can see like Jason being like what is going on? You know, like what is happening? So yeah, we like jumped up and hurried up and switched seats right then and there super fast. And you know, then it came up and it was just right there, and it was like, hey, so I am Ghost and blah blah blah. And I go right into this fun storytelling thing where I put everyone in kind of like their own little where are my words? Their own little kind of like escape rooms.
Yeah. And like you'd been planning those out for the whole month as well, so you already had that stuff.
I would like to say that I'd been planning them out for a month, so that way I could sound really awesome, but it was also around Christmas time. I was kind of busy, so that's not a month's worth of work. That being said, I had riddles for everyone, and I had written out little notes on like stained, burned pieces of paper for everyone, and they all had like different elements in it that aligned with their characters. Like specifically for Satine, she plays Rose on Inkwell. And so I ended up again going deep meta with that, where I for her challenge, okay, so like how I told you that Satine is really good about not telling us things. Yeah, she was like, I don't want to know anything about your game. I want to be surprised. And I was like, oh, absolutely. No, I'm not going to tell you anything. But you should know that you should be prepared to perform. And she was like, I deserve that. I deserve that. Okay. But yeah, I had her go up on a stage, you know, and I asked her, you know, the answer to the riddle was her performing and singing a song. And so she actually wrote a song and sang it. And I don't think there was a dry eye in the house. She was crying. We were crying. Everyone was crying. And then I handed her the note, and it was covered in rose oil because her character's name was Rose on Inkwell, who is a lounge singer. It all kind of worked out. It was then the ghost brain, you know, it was all kind of connected.
Fair enough. Titanium Taz asks, Vivi, are you playing modules or all homebrew? I'm not sure if they're talking about the game that you're DMing with your group, or because I assume all of the Sirens stuff is stuff that Satine and you have made up.
I mean, hold on one second. Hey, will you pass me the charger? Charger. No, charger. In the bag. There's a bag in there that my laptop is dying. Technical difficulties, everyone. I only have 11%. But yeah, I'm mostly playing like 5e. Like there's some like homebrew elements. Thank you so much. And look at this, noodle. But yeah, there's some like homebrew elements I do, but mostly it's like, you know, 5e for life.
And Backdoor Shady Dealer would like to know if Holly ever explained to you why Strix is mean to Esvel.
Esvele. Her name is Esvele.
Esvele. And they say that they could tell that you were struggling a bit to RP during the game because of it.
Only because it's like Holly is actually like such a darling, and it's like we're fine, but you know, I have a little like meta bleed where like, are you okay? Like, don't be mad. Like, we're fine. We're good. She was just in general just kind of mean because one, I'm like this noble woman that just kind of showed up in their house. Yeah. And I showed up there because Diaz was keeping secrets, which made me look bad. And then I start flirting with him. You know, like I wasn't really rolling out a good red carpet for myself. I mean, she's just very mistrusting. And apparently they have a long line of NPCs coming in, doing some shady shit, and then dying. So they're not really trusting of a whole lot of people that just like show up at their door.
They tend to kill most guest stars who show up in any context, just left, right, and center.
You were asking the difference between playing a character of your own and playing an NPC. That's a great one. Chris Perkins, don't kill me.
Well, I'm sure if he does, it'll be in the most traumatizing way possible for the rest of the cast. So you can you can enjoy the fact that it'll be awful for them.
Yeah, I mean, as long as someone cries, I guess it's okay.
Yeah.
Not me. As long as someone else cries.
Cho Vexany wants to know if you play other RPGs or just D&D.
I do. I'm actually doing a game of Fog Down right now with some high school friends. And that's actually super fun because when building that character, a lot of it was random. Like a lot of it was like random dice rolls. And so it was really interesting to have this like absolutely fun element of like, here's your stats, do with them what you will. And I was like, challenge accepted. So I'm doing Fog Down. I like to do a lot of LARP. LARP's really big in my life. Love it. It's like, it's D&D to the next level. I do something called Twin Mask. And I also do I would say it's like a, like every couple month Vampire the Masquerade game. And I also dress up in costumes and pretend that I'm a rogue and sneak around my house.
Sweet. So you were mentioning LARPing being a part of your life as well. Like when you're playing those characters, are those characters that are parts of Vivka or are those characters that Vivka is playing?
Okay, I kind of feel like you just called me out here, but it's like you don't know the character, but yeah, you called me out. So my main character for Twin Mask is a half crow woman named Chance. She's a half fairy, half crow. So it's like, you know, I wear like a big beak that I made and, you know, she's kind of like a trash bird, but she's me turned up to 12. I mean, she's fumbling. She tells awkward jokes, you know, her big beak gets her into more trouble than she can handle, and I just love it every step of the way. My favorite aspect of Chance is that being a half fae from like the fae realm of Paradox, she doesn't really understand any kind of nobility or hierarchy or anything like that. So I just saw someone in the chat be like, trash bird.
Yeah,
that's right, that's Chance, trash bird. But yeah, she doesn't really understand anything about nobility, so I am sure that that's going to get me killed because I just go up to like the barons, the dukes, and the princesses and whatnot. I'm like, hey, what's going on? You know, and I just get myself into more trouble. But I have to RP it. I commit.
Is that something that you've been doing for a long time as well, or is that? I'm always fascinated by people who actually LARP because it seems like it's so much more work than just.
You have to do it. It's amazing. It's been the most like transformative, amazing, growing experience of my life. I was not prepared for how much it would change me and help me and heart explosions. It's just fabulous. But I was very, I guess, like timid to actually get in and start it because I didn't know if I would be able to kind of immerse myself like that and let myself go in such a way. But it's been incredible, and my only regret is that I didn't get into it years before. But I've probably been LARPing I was doing the vampire LARP before that, and that's kind of more of a parlor LARP. It's like a one night thing. We're in a house. Twin Mask is more of like an entire weekend, fully immersive thing. But I would say it's probably 8 months or so that I've been doing that.
The only LARP I've done is trying to sell people stuff at the Stream of Many Eyes in our shop, which was a bit of a crash course since the first person to sit down and talk to us was Mark Meir in character. And just like,
he was one of the first people to talk to me too.
Yeah, he just sat down and just like, he was looking at our shop and he looked at us and he just kind of put it all together and just started talking to us. And I was standing there with Clive, and Clive just kind of looked at him like, and he was just kind of like, didn't know what to say. And I can bullshit. So, and I remember a lot of Forgotten Realms related stuff. So I felt like I was passable, but I was just like, oh, right. Okay. Yeah, we're doing this. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I remember at Stream of Many Eyes, I spoke to Mir a little bit like in costume, but out of character.
Yeah.
And he was like, this character is awesome. And I was like, let me tell you about the Black Viper.
Yeah.
And you know, we kind of had a thing, and then I went off and I was kind of like sneaking around behind the cameras in the background and everything. And he comes up to me and he takes out like this amazing coin that he had. And he was like, oh, I just thought maybe being a rogue and all, this would be something that she would like. And he like hands this coin to me and I take it and I'm like, this is literally the easiest this has ever been. Usually I have to pick pockets. Like, you literally just handed it to me. This is the easiest thieving I've ever done. Thank you so much. And I just like walked away with it. And I kept it and I love it.
No, Mark was a blast. And I think whether he intended to or not, it was a great sort of icebreaker to get things rolling, at least for us. Yeah, a lot of fun. So you got to experience the entire weekend that was the amazingness of Stream Many Eyes. What was that overwhelming, difficult to describe experience like for you?
Well, I mean, overwhelming is the right word for it. I was very busy. I had a lot going on because not only beforehand did I have to Black Viper, sure that character was done, but I also had a whole ton of stuff going on with Sirens of the Realms. Mm-hmm. We had to make sure that we had songs like written. Mm-hmm. To actually like perform and sing. And then like the day before stream even started, we showed up in costume and we did some recordings, and our performances and our songs were played in between the games like all weekend, which was a trip because again, terrible stage fright, this one. And it was like the weirdest. The place that we were recording these songs were so big and so massive. It was the strangest experience ever because there was no acoustics. In fact, there was a void of acoustics where I would actually sing and it was like my voice was just taken. It was like it was gone. I had Jason Charles Miller next to me and that boy can belt. He is loud when he sings. He's got like the fire in his belly. And I could barely hear him right next to me. It was the strangest thing. So trying to like record in that kind of environment, like, I mean, these are songs that like I've written and that I've performed and I'm missing my cues to go in because I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry. But yeah, we got the recordings, we did all that, and then I was Black Viper for all of Friday. And then on Saturday, Sirens of the Realms opened up Stream of Many Eyes. We opened the ceremony with our game. Mm-hmm. Super fun. It was incredible playing in front of a live studio audience because they got my jokes. Yeah. Nothing was better than actually telling a joke and having like that cheers thing where like everybody laughs. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Thank you. These guys just roll their eyes. Thank you. Exactly.
Especially on the Saturday because the people who are there are the people who are a part of all of this. They didn't have public seatings until Sunday, so
yeah, it was incredible. It was so much fun. But yeah, we played that game, and then I feel like we probably did something else on Saturday. I can't quite remember, but all day Sunday, when it was open to the public, us as the Sirens actually had 3 live performances where outside where like the store was and all the people congregating and everything, we kind of had like a little tent set up and we would just sing some of our songs and perform.
Was that as people who were coming to see the different live games spaced out were coming in? Was that how that was set up? Because I was inside. Kind of like,
so yeah, it was right outside where the pop-up shop was, and kind of like the line to get in. It was where like pancakes were, and
pancakes, yeah. Lee,
pancakes, so good.
Good old Lee.
And then actually we also closed the ceremony by getting up on the stage and starting another round of Fare Thee Well, which was downright magical because everyone had been hearing the song so many times, you know, because it's playing in between all of it. Like nothing is more wild than I wrote that song with Amy Dolan and Jason Charles Miller, and like walking around in between games with like my big wig and like my big I had my hair at that time, but like big wings and everything, and seeing a janitor like cleaning up after something and just like humming "Come What May" or not "Come What May," "Fare Thee Well," and it's like, I wrote that. Thank you. I wrote that. Like everyone had it stuck in their head. Everyone was humming and singing it. So being on stage at the end and having everyone sing it with us was downright amazing, magical.
I was cleaning up in the other area, and actually, God, I'm having a brain fart. Kelly, who's on the show with you, I forget her last name. Kelly D'Angelo. She and I and a couple other people were like pillaging Waterdeep at that time. Like, because they're like, everything must go, like they took all the props out that they had to get to places, and they're like, everything else is free, and we're just like ripping down signs and stuff. So
the big foot that was there?
Yep.
Yeah, after coming off of this amazing high of singing this song that I wrote in front of everyone, having everyone link arms, and it's like, we did it, this weekend was amazing. And then just to look over and see my friend Gil with a giant toe, and he's like, and it's like,
yeah, somebody leaned on it and cracked it, and then a second later, they shrugged and just like broke the whole thing off, and then people started stealing toes. It took no time to pillage the city of Waterdeep, in case anybody.
It's great. Wondering. You started cutting out a little bit, and it was just like stealing toes, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. No, the Zoom is failing us a bit today, but no, it was amusing to see how quickly the city of Waterdeep was pillaged down to its bare bones. Like people were fast. I think Kelly got the sign for the yawning portal, which I was a little jealous of, but we had a flight to catch. I'm like, I can't carry anything like that.
I ended up snagging one of the newspapers. Did you see the newspaper?
Oh, yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I got I think they only printed maybe, 4, but it was one of the newspapers of the Waterdeep Wazoo. And it's like an actual like giant like.
Is that the one that Eric brought? Because he kept one and then brought it to Satine later on when we were getting everything set up. So I'm wondering if it was that one or if you got one of the other ones. Oh, you cut out for a second there.
No, I'm here. Hi.
Oh, yes. I was just wondering if it was the one that, because Eric ended up trying to give one to Satine after the live show, but I can't remember.
No, I think it was the same one because the whole thing is that in our game that we opened up the ceremony on Saturday morning, we knew that we had to, the big thing is that we knew as the Sirens of the Realms we had to perform. Oops, sorry. Hit a random button, but we knew that we had to perform, and the front page of the newspaper was our faces saying Sirens of the Realms does an amazing performance, and it's like to be in Waterdeep and be like,
yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, so I had to absolutely grab one of those.
Causative Dust 4 wants to know if they might be fortunate enough to get a visit for the Viper during this season of Dice Camera Action.
Let me check my email. I haven't really gotten a reply. I will awkwardly just say that maybe Tuesday is a good time to start watching Dice Camera Action.
And for those wondering, Dice Camera Action is on Tuesdays on this channel at 4:00 p.m. Pacific. So
there it is.
Just saying. Carolithia says that they really loved that music, talking about the Sirens music from Stream of Many Eyes, and they're wondering if there's anywhere they can find it now.
Not so much right now, right yet, ... but we are working on actually making like real recordings of it and having it available. It's just trying to get a time when all of the Sirens can get together and, the rigmarole of actually like recording it and putting it out and everything.
Yeah. I imagine if it's anything like a regular D&D group trying to find time to play, not
even just play, actually like perform and record songs and like, we need role play band practice.
Yeah. And that,
we are definitely working on it. And I mean, like, we just wrapped the 3rd season of Sirens of the Realms, and there were so many more amazing new songs that came out of that season. So we got more songs than we know what to do with.
You guys can do seasonal albums. You can just, at the end of every season, release one kind of thing, almost.
Oh, the pressure.
Yeah, it only takes some work. So we're coming towards the end of our chat. Is there anything that you would like to talk about?
How was your day?
My day was great. We were playing D&D right up until about 3 minutes before I set up the call. Eating ramen and playing. Actually, it was an RP session pretty much all lunch. Right up until the point where our friend who is afflicted with vampirism had to kill and eat a deer, which were the only dice rolls all lunch. Because the DM's like, we haven't rolled any dice, so I'm gonna make you roll to kill this deer. And it was pretty funny, but yeah, just character development.
I don't even know, high or low, either way you're gonna lose.
Yeah, it was just I think it was just a matter of like how awkward it was gonna be, like because it's somebody who was recently afflicted and doesn't really want to be doing this, and so I suspect
Bambi wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Bambi wasn't ready. That's how the mom died. it wasn't a shot at all. It was a new vampirism.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, special shout outs and whatnot. Please everyone follow me on all social media. That would be pretty cool. Once again, I am VIVIDVIVKA, not Vivica, Vivid Vivka. It's spelled right there. You can't get it wrong. I do have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Vivid Vivka. Go figure. I have an Instagram. I have a Twitter. It's Vivid Vivka. I try to keep things really simple. It's Vivid Vivka for everything. I also have a Patreon for those 18 and up kiddies. But yeah, that's where I do a lot of my cosplay blog talk and lots of other additional things. And I see in chat that somebody has my my Twitch emote. So Saw the Geek, I see you. I see you.
Fair enough. Well, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us on our stream, and congratulations
this was fun.
on being the latest champion. And
best ever.
And hopefully we will cross paths at one of the many cons or whatever it is that D&D has planned.
TwitchCon is happening.
I hope we're going to TwitchCon this year. I don't know. We missed last year, and it was one of those things where it was like, yeah, it was such a narrow, actually we're not going to make it kind of thing last minute. So hopefully this year. Anyways.
Well, I mean, mild threat this year. Eyes. I think it's happening.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well,
or the next whatever the stream of many eyes for this year will be.
I don't know what it is, but it'll be one of the highlights on the this year's calendar for sure. I know
you know they're gonna do something. You know it's gonna be amazing. You know it's gonna be otherworldly. People are gonna steal more toes. It's gonna be top of the line amazing, and Idle Champions is going to be there.
Yes. And on that note, have a wonderful rest of your day, amazing weekend. And yes, everybody follow Vivka.
Thank you.
On at Vivid Vivka on all the things.
Yeah, and make sure you play and level up at Black Viper so we can collect all of the red gems together.
Perfect.
I don't know who that was at the end. Sorry.
No worries. Well, yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I will let you go. Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Wonderful, awesome human to have an opportunity to chat with. Thanks again so much to Vivka for hanging out with us and doing some Q&As with the fans. And yeah, I'm just looking at the. Oh, sorry, I have this. You know what? Maybe I'll do that right now. I'm gonna take a picture of this screen so people can have an idea of how many different windows I'm looking at any given point when we're chatting. I'm just gonna lean back. And I will tweet that out after the show. But basically, it's easy to get distracted by what is being said in one of the many different windows. And thank you, everybody who tuned in, and especially to Vivka, of course. But you know, I see Roland and Friends, Emperor Zerg, Titanium Taz, Giant Dwarf, tons of really cool people. Beeromancer, I love that name. Beeromancer is such a good name. And Fleet's Wake 2 is live now. So if you haven't unlocked Black Viper, which would be a surprise if you're watching this show, but if you haven't, you should. And because Black Viper might be obscenely strong, might be incredibly powerful, might be getting more powerful the more that you play her. So you got to do it. I'm going to pull up some of the stuff I have in my Q&A backlog to address. If you have any questions for me or about either Idle Champions, I mean, I'll try to answer D&D questions for you, but like I am far from an expert. I'm just somebody who plays D&D. But I will do my darndest to help you out, and I'm just going to pull up some of the roadmap Q&A stuff from this past Tuesday to go over, because we got a lot going on in the world of Idle Champions, and I'd hate for anybody to miss anything. So, apologies in advance if I seem a little bit repetitive at times, but yeah, there's a lot going on. Something that I haven't touched on yet this stream that I touched on a tiny bit in the Q&A. I don't know how many of you are Critical Role fans. I assume everybody, because it's Critical Role, but holy crap, their Kickstarter. Still absolutely blown away by seeing the Critical Role team go to their community and say, we would like to make a special, and the community turning back to them and saying, we want you to make this into a series, and like, here's the money to do it. It's incredible. Nothing short of incredible. I imagine they will probably still be in shock whenever tonight's episode gets rolling, because yeah, like meeting your funding goal in like 45 minutes, and then what are they, like 10 times over now? Maybe not quite that high, but it's, yeah, I see people in chat, 6 million and climbing. I mean, and kudos to them for putting their heads together and coming up with stretch goals that are worthwhile. Like just straight up telling people, like, you want to keep going. These are the story arcs that we'll start putting together if you guys fund it, and it's impressive. It's probably the most I don't want to say amazing D&D community moment, because that just sounds like I'm putting too much onto it, but like certainly in recent memory, and like just overall, is one of the most amazing just creator moments to happen of late. Like, holy shit. I mean, are they going to make, are we going to see that show on Netflix? Is it going to be a mainstream show that ends up with at least 6 seasons in a movie, as one who might be fans of other shows would say? It's, yeah, awe-inspiring. And on that note, because players will inevitably ask us, hey, when will the Mighty Nine or Vox Machina join Idle Champions? I feel like with the amount that their profile just raised and how popular that is, it's less likely even now. I mean, they were already too busy to really do any kind of work with us, and with that kind of attention, like my brain is picturing like the media, it's like mainstream Eye of Sauron turning towards the critter community and realizing, how much power they have and how interested people are in it. And there are going to be so many more people with certainly deeper pockets than our small company trying to get access to Critical Role in different ways, and like, so, I mean, we cross our fingers and hold out a hope that that it might be able to something to be happened, but don't count on it. They are busy. I mean, how many people are they going to have to hire just to redeem the like 30,000 plus people who are contributors to it? And holy crap, that vent is making some noise. That is really distracting. Is that coming through on the audio? I'm just wondering if it's bothering anybody watching like it is me right now, because yeah, that sucks. Anyways, to get back to the questions, I saw that Mindless Systems said that they're playing Warden. Holy cow, I rolled the stats and he is busted. I'm going to love playing him. Awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying Warden. Garwar, will C&E officially be going to whatever this year's Stream of Many Eyes is? Well, Garwar, let's just say that we would absolutely love to. That's about the only answer I can really give on that topic right now. Booch Games, do y'all happen to know the projected/expected time frame for a person to get 6,500 red gems? No. We don't. It's... you're not guaranteed a gem off every boss you kill. It takes however much time to get through each run. My understanding is that the different gem milestones for unlocking additional abilities of the Black Viper are kind of just tiered up, with the last ones intended to take quite some time to address. But I'm sure there will be some players who get it sooner rather than later through like some kind of a efficient gem farming strategy. But like, do we have hey, this is how many months we think it'll take? We don't. We expect it to take some time. We don't expect it to be something that people finish within a few weeks, like some of the other achievements and stuff we put into the game. And for Zong, any thoughts on achievements for Hitch? He doesn't have any from what I've seen. So we do have thoughts on this, and not just Hitch, but for the other Evergreen Unlock champions as well. Obviously all the event champions have an achievement associated with them tied in some way to their core design or their abilities. But what we haven't done is set up a way that is really easy to look at all of it. And, it's something that we're looking at, trying to find a nice quality of life thing to implement it so that, for both the Black Viper's Red Gems, but also for other, champion achievements, finding some way to, more easily access and see that kind of stuff, either on their character sheets or somewhere else. This is kind of far off quality of life stuff at this point, but we definitely would like to add achievements for the champions who don't have them, and yeah, there's some more quality of life stuff related to that too. Basie555, what does a Nayeli code do? So assuming that it's not the Nayeli starter pack DLC, which is a bunch of chests and one of Nayeli's golden epics, the other Nayeli code that people are talking about a lot lately is the the champion Nayeli kind of cross promotion that we're doing with WizKids. It's something that we started setting up a year and a half ago, that we set up and basically finalized a year ago. And like the design for the codes and the sheets and everything kind of came together. Came together like 10 months ago, and so it's only just now getting to stores. But like for us, like this was done a while back. So if you purchase a one of WizKids' Icons of the Realms Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage standard booster packs, and I don't have any here. I was hoping to have some in time for today's stream to unbox one and show them to you and explain it to people and maybe give some away. But we're in Western Canada, so sometimes stuff doesn't arrive here super quickly. Anyways, the crux of it is that inside each one of these booster packs, and I don't know what they cost in each specific region because it varies around the world, but Nayeli Goldflower, the human paladin on the cover of the Sword Coast Adventurers Guide, has been included in the Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage set of fantasy minis. So I believe she's named Human Paladin, but like the design and aesthetic in the mini is all based off Nayeli. And so to celebrate that inclusion, what we did was we put together a sort of like a one sheet that has a DLC code for a champion Nayeli outfit, which we shared on Twitter yesterday, but I can share again after this. And that also includes an exclusive Golden Epic card for Nayeli, 5 gold chests, and 1 million gold. Now, availability of those minis is going to vary wildly. Like I don't know how long it's going to take the physical product to get shipped all around the world, but like it could take some time. And I don't know the odds offhand of what your chances are of opening an actual Nayeli mini in your pack are. But each of the standard boosters has 1 large or huge figure and 3 medium or small figures. So any one of those medium or smalls could end up being a Nayeli. So that's pretty cool. And right now the code in these packs is currently only redeemable through the in-game shop on Steam, which is obviously the only platform that you can redeem in-game codes. However, it will be compatible with our upcoming code redemption system that's coming to Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Steam, and tablet for Android and iPad. So if you get one of these and you have one of these codes handy, hold on to it. Whichever platform you play on, you will be able to enter this in and get your champion Nayeli outfit. Now, that's what the code does, and just that's kind of like the whole backstory of how to get one. Um, but yeah, it's kind of one of those things where, you know, we had an opportunity to do some work with WizKids that we took advantage of a while ago, and it's only just now hitting stores because I mean they have to make minis, they got to make molds, and then you know have them all made, and then paint them, and then package and all that stuff, and like the lead time on it's amazing. So in order to get the slip put in there, we had a sort of the insert with the code done, you know, nearly a year ago, and the Naeli graphic on it is just like our regular Naeli with a cape. And the champion Naeli was only done a couple months ago, and then approved later by Wizards. And you know, it's a long process, and so it's just kind of been an interesting way as it's all played out. Giant Dwarf. Any ideas on a pity counter for Black Viper's red gems? It'd be a shame to not get enough gems and it to take forever. I don't think we plan to have a pity timer for her gems. It's already like it's pretty categorically powerful as is. Hellish Dream. Dylan, any ideas for an evil tank down the road? Silisa and I crafted the idea of a lawful evil tiefling conquest paladin. Oh, just like the key art in the Xanathar's Guide to Everything book. Said tiefling would help support both Krond and Frida. That's an interesting idea. You know, I was collaborating with Justin just today on a tank design, although not an evil one and not a tiefling. The interesting thing for us is, so we have this like long list of lore related champions, and to us, like a lore related champion would be somebody who is in one of the published Forgotten Realms novels, or in one of the D&D TRPG books across any edition, or they're in a D&D video game, or they're in a D&D board game. And so like that is a massive number of potential characters to add as champions. And then on top of that, we have the characters that are played by live actors, you know, content creators and such on different shows. So that would be, you know, like the characters from Acquisitions Incorporated, the C Team, the characters from Dice Camera Action. And like we've been doing more of the latter group of late because that's how the scheduling has worked out. And we like to include more of the lore champions. But the thing is that there aren't a huge number of evil characters for us to use, and we have very much recognized that like we need more evil in our game. In fact, Chris and I were talking about that earlier today. We have a lot of good, we have a crazy number of chaotic champions, and we need more evil. So yeah, it's one of those things where you know, I would like us to be able to do that, but doing a custom character that isn't from something is a little bit harder for us of late because we have such a backlog of characters to add to the game. You know, including a very important lawful evil character who's, I mean, currently slated for a 2019 release, but maybe won't make it in 2019 because it'll be Chris's fault. But no, that's not fair. We just we have a lot of characters that we're trying to fit in, and scheduling can be challenging at times. Like, you know, it took us a while to be able to work with Nate to get Paulton finalized and done, much more so than other characters from Dice Camera Action. And so it's just kind of like, you know, Chris is juggling a nearly impossible task when it comes to integrating the schedules of the people that we're working with on these characters with the release schedule of our events and things that are all planned out. And like, it's cut him some slack. It's tough. It's really tough. So I like the idea that you had there, Hellish Dream, and enough so that I'm gonna make a note about it because I think that concept is cool and that we have key art for it and it's established and it's something that we could possibly justify doing. But I don't know when that would be. We don't get to do our own custom characters very often anymore. So I think we did 4 last year. But we don't have any in the schedule for 2019 at all. So, yeah. Alrighty. El Sandyman. Will we be getting another challenge like unlocking Azaka? That was something to aim for a while. New challenges that come out now seem to be finished within a week. Well, in fairness, El Sandyman, we haven't done another challenge quite like Azaka's Procession Part 2 of late. Off the top of my head, both the upcoming Dragonbait champion will be part of an extremely challenging variant. Oh, excuse me, in the Tomb of Annihilation campaign. So that'll be sometime this year. And Ulcoria Stone Marrow will be part of a variant in the Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign at some point, probably Q2. Originally, we were hoping to have her in Q1, but she got pushed back in favor of more quality of life updates, which Peter is working on right now, and we should hopefully have more information to share on that subject with you guys next week. Alrighty, Dark and H. Yo, we gonna get some more Yum Yum Hut codes? Yes. I don't know if I have a blurb on the subject of that I can share just yet. If I do, and they're listening, Clive, Chris, or Erica, can you pass that along to me right now? Because I would love to know what the latest word is on what I can say on that kind of subject right now. But in the short term, Dark and H, yes, more Yum Yum Hut Donar skins, outfits will be coming, as well as other ones. So, Titanium Taz, does the Black Viper get red gems only if you choose Jewel Thief? You will need to have unlocked that ability and have Black Viper active in your formation in order for red gems to drop, or to have a chance to drop. So, if she's dead, they might not drop, and if she's not active in your formation, they definitely won't. But yeah, you need if you want red gems, Black Viper needs to be in the formation, and Jewel Thief needs to be purchased. Roland and Friends. I signed up to Alpha Test WebGL. Are you guys still sending out emails for that, or was I not selected? We've been sending out batches of invitations to the Alpha Test of the WebGL version of Vital Champions. So if you've signed up, Roland and Friends, yeah, they go out in batches. So it's possible that you didn't make a cutoff or whatever. Alrighty, Bureaumancer, best name. Both the Waffle Crew and Companions of the Hall buff each other. Force Grey does not. Will the C Team get some special C Team buffs with the next two campaigns? With the next two champions, sorry. So, yes, Rosie, Bee Stinger, and Walnut Dawngrass will have synergistic abilities with the rest of the C Team, and maybe even some of the Waffle Team, because we know how closely they work together. Force Grey doesn't currently. It's something we're looking at. Team synergies are a relatively new aspect to the game. And it's like, it might make the game unbearably complicated if we tried to add every possible synergy. Like, just off the top of my head, Dritz has worked with more characters outside the Companions of the Hall. You could argue Dritz might have synergy or counter synergies with Jarlaxle, with certain lawful evil assassins. And like, how do you do those interactions? Do you make characters worse when they're with some champions and better with others? Never mind, obviously Vivka's wonderful portrayal of the Black Viper has some interesting, what's the word I'm looking for? Synergies, interesting interactions with Dieth Woodrow. So, do we incorporate that as well? Or because characters also need to stand on their own. And one of the things that we worry about when putting in team synergies is we don't want to force anybody to use specific team makeups just to play the game. We don't really like that. So it's kind of one of those things where we are adding more team synergies, and we're kind of rolling them out slowly, because what we don't want to do is to be like, well, the only way to play the game is with an Inc. C Team and Waffle Crew formation plus some specific other champion, because that's when you're getting the most synergies. That's what we're trying to avoid, so we're kind of just doing it slowly. Sir Monstein. Are there any idea of updating the difficulty notes? Like, Durable Deep is marked easy, and I struggle to get past 200 without pots, let alone 250. Yes, that's part of our list of fixes for quality of life related things. Yeah, it's on our quality of life list. I don't know yet what is going to make it in our quality of life update that's coming next week. I just know that Peter worked through lunch every day this week working on stuff related to it, and other people are trying to get stuff done too. It's Small team problems, but yeah, we're doing it. Lamb Covey, what is that overlay he's using? It looks way different than the Steam version. I am playing the Steam version of the game, but this is a gamepad UI. It's the interface designed with gamepads on Steam, like for the what's the big picture mode in mind, as well as playing on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So if you go into your settings, there is a toggle for display in gamepad UI mode, and if you toggle it on, and you have a gamepad plugged in, you can play it this way as well. You won't be able to do it on iPad or tablet for Android, but you can do it on the Mac and PC Steam version of the game. And I just like it because I find it just, I don't know, like I just think they did such a killer job of the interface, and I like the way it looks in the background of the stream. Alrighty. Ordner Semmel. Where can I see my collected red gems? Okay, so there you can view the achievement progress for the Black Viper, which will work until a certain point. And then the other option is to go into the Black Viper's character sheet and go down to Jewel Thief, and it gives you a running tally. So gems collected this adventure 6, bonus 102.73% damage. Total gems collected across all adventures 201. Which has unlocked the upgrades 10 or of infamy now affects buffs from rangers and warlocks, and 50 increased max stacks of distracted foes by 5 and increased the damage per stack by 100%. Next bonus is 300 gems. So right now you can only view it through the champion background screen, which requires that the Black Viper be active, purchased, and the Jewel Thief ability unlocked in order to see it. We are exploring ideas at how else to show it, but yeah, I don't have anything more to share on that right now. Circopath, hey chat, what and how to use that Steam code? I'm assuming somebody in chat already answered this, because I tend to get to these questions minutes or many minutes or quite a bit longer after the fact than somebody first asked it. But basically the Steam code in the top right corner is a code that you can enter into the in-game shop on the Steam version of the game right now. And it will yield one Black Viper gold chest for you. Once the code redemption system is active across all platforms, we'll be putting codes up that literally everybody who plays the game can use. I don't have an ETA on the exact release date for that right now, but it is being worked on. I've seen the art coming together for it, so yeah, it's coming. By the way, not sure if an error or not, but Dritz is 75, really? 75 years old. He should be showing up as older than that. Dritz is not young. So it sounds like there might be something not showing up properly, because I'm pretty sure he's like 275 or 375 causative dust, so it might be an error. Blindman16. The DPS doesn't seem correct. My lower DPS clears stages while higher DPS does not. Is this a bug? I mean, it could be. So the DPS meter fluctuates wildly because it's based off of an average over previous attacks that, you know, tracks a bunch of data points to try and come up with your global DPS number. And when you transition from area to area, some of those data points are lost, which means that your DPS can go up or down because the average will change. It's kind of one of those things where it shouldn't see a change in your ability for your champions to hit, like how hard they're hitting. But things like ultimate abilities can be affected. It's something that we're looking into refining, and we don't have a solid solution for it yet. Should I start staving my chest now for fast gearing the next Evergreen champion, or is it too soon? That's up to you, Cobra King Avert. You know, you get a sort of diminishing returns with every gold chest once everybody's epicked out. You know, each percentage increase represents a smaller and smaller increase than the one before it. So me personally, I saved up a ton of gems for when I unlocked Azaka, and then I just bought a ton of gold chests and opened them all in order to get Azaka into epics as quickly as possible. So that's a safe bet. At the same time, I mean, you always have a chance of getting a shiny. I mean, it's a 0.1% chance, but you always have a chance of getting a shiny when you open a chest. You do always get item levels, and then you get contracts and potions. And like potions are just awesome for doing events and stuff. I don't use them so much for variants, but for events. So, you know, whether or not you save chests is up to you. But, you know, saving at least 50 to put an evergreen into all epics as soon as they're unlocked, yeah, I would. Selawyn, the Potion of Speed, which I love, seems to speed up its own countdown. Is this really the case, or am I just bad at counting? No, it's a display issue. Yeah, it makes like dates and times count extra quickly, and then if you like exit the game and come back in, it'll be right back to normal. But it's a display issue. Evil Sales Ass. How many champions are currently in development or waiting to be released? That's a big question. We have almost every slot for the rest of this year. Actually, no. So we have all of them with champions in them. Quite a few of them are not locked in because we leave a fair amount of flexibility in it. However, the next champion and the 2 champions following them are done their design, locked in, and the art and animations are done for at least one of them. So like, you know, certainly the next couple of months they're basically done, finalized. But so those 3 are basically done, and then you know, we have another dozen or so kind of in various stages of development. I don't know how many people caught the news, but we are adding the High Rollers Eros campaign characters to the game, which is another chunk of characters. And so those ones are all in various states of development, as well as the rest of the members of C-Team, and you know, who knows what else. We'll see what happens. Smelly Harpy. When are you releasing new familiars, and how many gems should I save? I don't know how many gems you should save. However, there will definitely be more familiars coming to the game, both paid and earned through in-game currencies and through, you know, other stuff. So I don't have an ETA on it, but they are coming. Beeromancer, I really liked the High Rollers event. Thank you. Any chance for a similar event in the near future? Yes, absolutely. We are doing something similar to what we did with the High Rollers campaign. There's nothing I can say about it yet. It's not done being put together. But I can say that I think players will like it even more. We were really happy with what we did with High Rollers, and the next version of a sort of live, you know, non-regular event coming to the game is a lot more ambitious and a lot more interesting, I think. So, yeah. Mage Pie. Will the quality of life update include cleaning up the debuffs displayed on enemies? I don't know. The quality of life update doesn't have is not set yet. So one of the reasons why we haven't talked about it at all in advance of next week when it's coming out, like we'll start talking about it next week, but one of the reasons why we haven't talked about it at all yet is because nothing is 100% locked in for it. We have a pretty ambitious list of quality of life changes that we want to add, and we are in the process of adding them, but that list is not complete. So yeah, it's still, I know it's frustrating waiting, but it's still too early to talk about what's coming in the update next week. Iltacine, question: is the 0.1 chance for a shiny from the chest the same on silver and gold chests? Yes. Silver and gold chests each have a 0.1% chance for a shiny equipment card to drop. There's no pity timer on it though, so you might get one in 1,000 chests, you might get none, you might get 2, who knows. Garwar, please God, don't have a tracker that makes it look like a competition like last time. Noted. Yeah, I personally wasn't a fan of that, and it was kind of one of those things that we didn't intend to go against our own design philosophy in adding it, and we just kind of did it, and then afterwards we were like, gah! So I wouldn't expect to see it this time. Follow-up. My question was more about time. Is it too soon to start saving? I mean, it's never too soon to start saving, Cobra King of Earth. It's one of those things, you know, I don't really spend my gems on anything. I just kind of let them accumulate, and so... but it's because I've purchased the familiars at this point, and all the champions are at least in epics. And you know, when I need more potions or something, I might buy some chests to open them up and get some more stuff. But I mean, saving them up is always a good idea if you have the time. Willow's Watcher. I love Erebus. I can't wait to play those characters. We're glad you like it. Yeah. We are, they definitely present some challenges in terms of adapting to Forgotten Realms 5e. The Erebus world is not identical in technology or in all ways. So some of the characters will need a little bit more adjustment than other, but we're confident we can do it, and we're excited to do it. They're cool characters. They have beautiful designs. Yeah. In fact, I was watching Alexis paint a portrait for one of them earlier, and yeah, exciting stuff. So we have a spare moment. I'm going to take a little bit of a drink here, and then I'm going to launch into our epic Office D&D game to kind of recap what's been going on. Okay. So to get into this, I see some questions now starting to come in, and I will get to them. Don't worry. We got plenty of time left in the show. To recap, the party of Raven's Radiance, that's what we were calling ourselves, although we haven't been calling ourselves that lately. Now minus our elf rogue, who, because Peter has been having to work through lunches for the last couple of weeks to get work done, so he's kind of taken a step back, and we haven't decided yet whether his character died in an epic battle or disappeared or what. But anyways, down to a party of 4. It was our Dusk Elf monk, Shadow Monk, Dara, Veshok, my Shadarkai Hexblade Warlock, and Morgana, Alexis's, is she a human bard? I think she's a human bard. And Bignapur, our gnome druid. After we went to the Wizards of the Wine winery in Barovia, we defeated some gross evil druids there, and then we journeyed south to Yesterhill in search of one of the magic seeds that the Wizards of the Wine used to grow wine and food, just to make the land possible to be cultivated in Barovia. We made our way to Yesterhill, which was like a foggy nightmare, and discovered a nightmare at the top of the hill, surrounded by this like wall of cairns, standing watch in front of this like briar statue in the visage of Strahd, that jerk. I mean, we assume it's Strahd. It was a vampire, but like, who else is going to be? Strahd's a narcissist. And sneaking around, we found some wolves howling in the distance, staring into the mists, and a grove of dead trees, which surrounded this massive evil tree that we checked out and discovered this evil tree, which some players may recognize as a Gulthias tree, but our characters didn't know what it was, and but we did figure out that it was evil, and it sprayed sap on my character's face as I pulled an axe out of it, which made me mad. So we convinced our gnome to use Call Lightning to just burn the tree down. I mean, we were already in a giant storm. Call Lightning wouldn't be that noticeable because it's just more lightning in an area that's just saturated with it at the moment. And because my character found a Gulthias staff on one of the druids back at the Wizards of the Wine, I was able to hold off all the blights and such in the area from dealing with our druid, as we just called down lightning on it. At which point the wolves, we drew their attention, and one of them turned and came towards us, and then shapeshifted into Strahd, which was our oh shit moment, because it's like, we're all going to die all of a sudden. And so while our gnome continued arcing lightning down on this tree stump, we kind of assumed battle formations for Strahd, and our monk, our shadow monk, rushed him and laid a couple hits, but like in between every hit was just getting gutted by Strahd, and then she fell, and Strahd executed her, rammed his oh no, he took her down, and then our bard tried to bring her up with healing word, and then he just and she tried to grab the other wolf because it had become Irina, and like grabbed her, and then Strahd killed our monk. So rammed a sword through her head, which kind of signaled the end of that character, because before anybody else could have a character perish in our Curse of Strahd campaign, Kat had her second one die in a pretty epic moment. And at the same time, Strahd resurrected a bunch of evil, gross druids and like frothing, hobo berserkers basically on the hill that started chanting a ritual, which may be familiar to some players who know the Curse of Strahd campaign. I don't want to spoil it too much, even though I'm going to spoil all of what we were doing because it might not play out the same way for you. But we, this is so good, and I feel like such a nerd sharing this story right now. But hey, we're here. It's the D&D channel, and I see the questions piling up, but this is good because I'm going to get through them all. But we kill all the druids, but not before the giant statue turns into a massive elemental. Around the time that happens, a literal army of Dusk Elves arrives from the forest and just unloads their arrows in the direction of Strahd and our Dusk Elf friend and Strahd's mistress, and just perforates them. It's like the moment out of 300 was the way basically that our DM described it. Like enough arrows to blot out the sun if there were sunlight in Barovia. So enough arrows to blot out the last bits of light in the stormy weather. And if you can't talk nerdy here, where could you? Fair enough. Totally perforates Strahd and Irina and Dara. And at the same time, the now vampire spawn, but having fought her way free version of Kat's previous dead not dead character, Tethys, the water genasi cleric of light, arrives at the front of this Dusk Elf army, and Winter Splinter just starts marching towards them, and it became a chase where we were trying to take down Winter Splinter, and our gnome druid finished destroying the tree, the Galthius tree, well, as much as you can without digging up the entire hill and burning it and salting the earth. But he destroys it enough that it collapses in on itself, and like everything kind of dies, and all the souls it was absorbing are released into the air. And we're chasing down Winter Splinter, which moves at like 100 feet around. Luckily, my character can cast Fly on himself and resurrected a specter out of one of the druids that he killed, and our bard has Dimension Door, and so they caught up. The bard and our vampire spawn light cleric got smashed by Winter Splinter, and our bard was devoured, which ended one of our sessions before the rest of us even got there. And to start our second session fighting it, the first death save that our bard ended up rolling was a nat 1. Which meant she was a roll away from death to start off that session on Tuesday, which was intense. Hellish Dream asking, how do I flavor my fly spell? Veshok is like such a brooding edgelord, gothy, like Shatterkai black armored elf that I basically just make him fly like Strahd would. Like he flies like full on vampire style, like just not Supermaning it, like just like kind of like just like head first, arms back, his cape and everything billowing behind him. Like he basically looks as not out of place in Barovia. So he kind of flies like that. It's funny. And we fought Winter Splinter. And even with elven accuracy and advantage, I missed 80% of my attacks that combat. Like, it was sad. I rolled a lot of numbers below 5. And but eventually we took him down, and our vampire spawn cleric managed to save the bard, and we destroyed Winter Splinter and received the magic artifact, which is the whole reason we were there, and delivered it. And like we spent this entire lunch hour today just RPing what our next steps are. What are we going to do? How is this campaign going to go? It was good. It was a good session. Kudos to Adam and to Kat for having a pretty epic series of events coming together for it. It was a lot of fun. So now back to the actual questions. Now that there's a backlog of them here for me to go through again. Excellent. Alrighty, Tan Grisner, question. Not sure it has been asked before, but will Nayeli's alternate costume be released for us that cannot somehow access the WizKids minis? I live outside of the main RPG markets, and there's zero chance I can find the minis around here. Fair enough. I don't have much of a solution for you or an answer that I can give you yet, except to say that I know people who will be buying tons of these minis, and like my friends who like these minis, they tend to get lots. Every single box has this code in it, and they're unique codes. So while I think there'll be some scarcity at first because the distribution is kind of not slow, but like it's global distribution. That shit doesn't all arrive at the same time on the same day everywhere on Earth. It's going to take time, and then there are going to be people who have lots of them. Our own one of our own community leaders, Iwa Kichka, is buying at least a brick, and is probably going to do giveaways for the remaining codes. So like, I think they'll be a little scarce at first, but that actually they might not be that hard to get. And we're going to keep an eye on it. If this is something that we don't feel lands right, we'll see what we can do about it. But in the meantime, the 8 count bricks, Giant Dwarf, is you can buy them in one standard booster pack at a time. I don't know what the MSRP is, or 8 count bricks. So I know that doesn't really answer your question, Tan Grisner, but will it be accessible for people who are not in a position to buy the minis? I think so, but how accessible that is, we're going to keep an eye on. Kershaw. Is it possible to get mouse and keyboard support when using the gamepad UI? It isn't. What is more likely to happen, although a long ways off, is that we will do an update to the mouse and keyboard interface, the mouse keyboard / tablet interface, using the aesthetic graphics and lessons learned from the gamepad UI to bring them more in line. Mike Hermit. Will you be adding character sheets for all my champions, not just those that are in my formation? Sometimes I want to see who all the rogues are. For example, who all the +13 dexterity champions are. Also, can we make sure that characters who cannot be in a formation for too low of dexterity, for example, are not part of the conversations of that scenario? I think I understand how you're phrasing that, Mike Hermit. You'd like to be able to go into your character menu and just browse through everybody regardless of whether or not you've unlocked them. And I personally think that would be a really positive quality of life change, and I will pass that along to the team. I don't know how they will approach it, but I will at the very least let them know. Mage Pie, what do you think is the worst race class combination? I think just based on how that was asked, like if you're looking for the like mathematically least effective combo, because you want to be somebody who has some serious struggles, like you could pick something like an orc or a kobold monstrous race as your champion race, and then pick a class that is getting a negative to one of their key stats. So like kobolds get -2 strength +2 dex, I think it is, or something like that. I could be wrong, but like I think that's what it is. In which case, picking a barbarian or a paladin or a strength-based class for them would suck. Now, but to take that question a little bit further, I don't think there's such a thing as a bad race class combo so much as you are creating more and more interesting and diverse options for you to RP something ridiculous. Like, if you are rolling random dice and you end up with a Minotaur Rogue, as Garwar asked about that, how do they stay hidden? That would be the most fun part to try and RP. I am an 8-foot tall, 460-pound Minotaur Rogue who has way more strength even than Dex, but this is how I hide. Like it presents such an interesting challenge and option for how you can play the game. I know that would probably make some min-maxers cringe, but sometimes it's fun to play suboptimal. Leomon Ruler 9. So I take it the Dat Center Delio is taking longer than expected. The Dat Center Delio. I am not sure what that is. You know, if you're referring to WizKids Minis getting distribution, I mean, I can't speak to it, but like physical products, I mean, there are all kinds of things that can lead to different kinds of delays with you know, shipping products around the world. I mean, we sent a player in Australia an Iris die and a T-shirt months ago, and it shouldn't have taken months to get to them, but it did. So like, yeah. DDO's Dat Center move? I don't know anything about that, Leomon Ruler. Yeah, so I can't comment. I don't know anything about it. Let's see. Tells that 3 to 4 sites out there have game info, but not a definitive new player guide. What tips would you give to someone just starting now? The last time I tried to answer this question, Garwar correctly contradicted me repeatedly on it. So I'm going to give Garwar's advice, which is to say, get silver chests, spend your gems on silver chests until you have items in every slot for your characters. And then once that happens, save up your gems for gold chests to get everybody into epics. There are great player resources for this game. You know, the subreddit is really good, but tends to focus only on the most current news. I recommend joining us on the official Idle Champions Discord, which is at discord.gg/idlechampions. There's a new player resources section that a lot of, you know, some of our community leaders have put a lot of work into, and there's a lot of information there, and you can always ask Garawar or Iwakichka or Mars or Silisa or you know, or you know, any one of the other players who aren't community leaders but officially, but really are. I mean, we have a lot of people who've been playing for a long time. They're helpful. They will do a better job of keeping you up to date on strategies and stuff than I can. You know, I mean, my formation right now isn't even optimal. I was just trying to. This is my first time looking around at possibilities for a Torm formation with Black Viper, and to be honest, I'm not blown away by this formation. I think, you know, my Archon formation is probably still categorically better, but still, I am very happy to see that the Black Viper works as well as she does. Alrighty. Kuranons, any hint on which blessing we should favor for the upcoming campaign adventures? I don't know which blessings are coming next, but given that the Tomb of Annihilation campaign recently came to a close, and we just added new blessings to Helms, maybe another one will be coming next. Alrighty. Probably already asked and answered. Does the PV of our frontline characters would be better C? Is there something plain about that? I'm not sure I understand your question, Real Sidar. Are you asking about being able to see the health and timers and everything for whomever your tank is up front when they get overwhelmed by monsters? Because that's something that we've had on our quality of life list for a while, but we don't have an ideal / optimal solution for it yet. So it's not something that we've addressed. Yeah. You'd probably get a good boost by dropping Makos for Grama. Maybe. I mean, like, you know, a Makos being a warlock is gonna offer Black Viper a higher buff, but at the same time, Grama is pretty darn awesome. So let me just level her up. Arctic. Plunk. And... oh, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, on that note, I imagine, like, even though Regis should theoretically be a much better buffer for Black Viper, I wouldn't personally be at all surprised if Celeste was a better one. So maybe I'll, just because my Celeste is geared. War domain, of course. Alrighty, so what is my DPS at? Let it stabilize for a minute. And then switch it back to Regis. Looks like it goes down. And in that case, put her up here. And then, yeah, that seems to be doing better. Anyways, getting just totally zoning out. I started like, I just haven't had as much time as I would like to play with Black Piper. Why is Slow and Steady so expensive? Its cost is like a tier 5 global for other campaigns. Because it's real good. It's good, yeah. The price is based on power, basically. Hey, Iwakichka, how you doing? Good to see our top tier bin win specialist in chat. What do I think of Ghosts of Saltmarsh? So Sahuagin to me always remind me of like H.P. Lovecraft Necronomicon, like evil eldritchy things coming from the sea, and like I like pirates, I like ocean stuff. You know, so I'm interested. I actually quite like the Tales from the Yawning Portal because I think as a DM and as a player, you can never have a shortage of like adventures to use, and really good storytellers will be able to like layer them in with other things or take parts, and like I will never turn down more resources for what to do. I'm excited about it. I look forward to seeing it. The key art is stunning. It is so bloody gorgeous. You know, I was watching a bit of, was it Dragon Talk or Dragon Plus or Lore You Should Know last week or the week before? I can't even remember now. It all blurs together. But Kate Welch was on it talking about her work on the book, and it sounds good. I'm excited. I mean, I get excited about every 5e book coming out these days because the D&D team has just been knocking it out of the park with 5e. So like I kind of get excited for anything that they put out, but yeah, Ghost of Saltmarsh, I can't wait. Iltacine, how long have you played D&D personally? That's a great question. Off and on since I was in high school, which was, you know, two decades or so ago. You know, the first time I tried D&D, it was AD&D, and it didn't really click for me. And I have since learned that it was like we didn't know what we were doing, and the group of people that I was playing with wasn't ideal for me, and that was why it didn't work. Because it wasn't until I played 3.5 in, you know, whenever that came out, early 2000s, that I was like, oh, now I get it. You know, it clicked. But I was also playing with good friends, and one of whom I still play with, who DMs my Tomb of Annihilation campaign. Yeah, off and on since then. I've only been into 5e for a few years, but wow, it's so much fun. I find the bigger thing, the bigger thing is just like the worst thing about being an adult is trying to find time to play. And like I'm fortunate that I work with a bunch of nerds and other D&D players, so we play at lunch pretty regularly. But my like home D&D groups that are with close friends, you know, friends I've had for decades, it's hard to find time. I mean, you know, my DM's got 3 kids. One of them has their birthday party this weekend, so we're not playing D&D this weekend. We've had lots of other family and other related things over the last few weeks, so we haven't been able to play. We've played like maybe once so far in 2019. It sucks, and we're almost at the Tomb of the Nine Gods, so it's like we're like so close. We're either all gonna die or maybe we'll get through. Anyways, yeah. My favorite thing by far about 5e is that jumping into 5e is easier than it has ever been. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Erica just informed me that Ewok already did the raffle before I streamed. Excellent. Well, thank you for doing that, Ewok. And yeah, your very last mini was the Naili. Nice. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna check that out on Discord, Ewok. Congrats. That's cool. I couldn't have planned that better. It's 2:53, and Welch's Game Juice is coming up at 3, so I'm gonna start wrapping the show up. I see that there's one other question. Do you prefer homebrewed worlds and campaigns or prepackaged ones? I don't have a preference to either. For me, D&D is always about who you're playing it with. Are you having fun? Is this what you want to be doing? And like with my home games, it is reconnecting with close friends and spending time together, and that's the best part. I don't care if we're homebrew or it's out of the box or what. That said, the Waterdeep Dragon Heist setting is awesome. And the Curse of Strahd setting is awesome, and you know, but like as a DM, I homebrew the crap out of what's going on at the same time. Like, you know, yeah, like I take that book and I use it as a roadmap, and then I go off the road. But yeah. Anyways, on that note, let's see. Yeah, I mean, I just got to start wrapping up. So this has been our show for Thursday, March 6, 2019. Thank you all for joining us, for watching, for participating in this community. You guys are super, super dope. This show exists because of a number of amazing people behind the scenes, including my co-producers, Erica and Clive, as well as our partners at Dungeons & Dragons, Daryl, Allison, Greg, Bart, Pelham, and Satine, and of course, Lauren, Obo Crazy Urban in chat. Huge thanks to Vivid Vivka for joining me on stream today to talk about all things cosplay and D&D. Please tune in next week where we will have Matthew Lillard on stream to talk about all things Beetle and Grimm. Welch's Game Juice is coming up next, followed by the Kickstarter crowdfunding juggernaut that is Critical Role at 7. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and I will catch you next week.